My name is Ben Mauk, and for Harper's Magazine, I wrote about the legacy of the uranium boom in the American Southwest. The uranium boom was a period in the 1940s and 1950s when there was a large concerted effort spearheaded by the federal government in the form of the Atomic Energy Commission, which replaced the famous Manhattan Project, to dig uranium out of the Colorado Plateau. The Colorado Plateau encompasses parts of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado, and it's extremely mineral rich. So after the wars, the Cold War was heating up, the AEC spearheaded an effort that has never taken place in America before or since to dig uranium out of the ground. And when I say that, I mean that there's never been a rush, a mineral rush, for which the federal government was the only buyer. So they had a monopsony on uranium, and also were offering just tremendous amounts of money to people to go out and basically wildcat for uranium. Today, most of our uranium for electricity comes from Canada, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Australia. Only somewhere between 10 and 20% of the uranium we use for nuclear power is still being dug up in the U.S. And most of it's being dug up in situ leach mines, which are kind of newfangled mines that don't really look like conventional mines. And a lot of those are in Wyoming and in Texas. So for this article, I was interested in this kind of legacy and in the people who lived in these former boom towns, or who were living next to these still operational mines, or who were living with mines that had been abandoned and never cleaned up. Part of the story was just looking at the way in which these sites have been treated and the large distance that exists between the utopian visions that a lot of people had about nuclear power in the middle of last century. A big part of the article was looking at this disparity between the conditions that the people who are living in the birthplace of the atomic age live on the one hand, and then these utopian visions on the other. So it's kind of a panoramic piece about different stories across the plateau, and how these people's lives have gone, basically, and how they've been influenced by this mid-century boom that still has quite a long tail of effects even now into the 21st century. The Pulitzer Center funded this project and made it possible for me to take a couple weeks and to visit a lot of different sites, a lot of sites that didn't end up in the final story. That's just how it goes. There's really limited space, but I was able to visit a lot of the uranium mills that have been closed or that are on standby with kind of skeleton crews. I was able to see a lot of mines, a lot of former boom towns, in addition to what makes it in the piece, and the Pulitzer Center really made it possible to fund this pretty involved research project.